And welcome to my YouTube channel and my second video in the series of installing Linux. What I want to do in this series, what I aim to do, is to show how easy Linux can be to install and enjoy. Even Linux newbies can get it done in no time flat. My first video was spent installing Ubuntu Linux, and I think I showed pretty effectively how easy it was. Now I've moved off to a completely different distribution, not Ubuntu based, but actually based on one of my favorites, Arch Linux. This is Manjaro Linux. Manjaro Linux being an offshoot of Arch. Things are done the Arch way, but Manjaro kind of buffers the user from that. In Arch Linux, the user is encouraged to build their Linux from scratch. Basically, when you install Arch, the Arch way as they call it, you start off with just a command line and an interpreter. That's it. And you start building by loading packages. The advantage is when your system is built, it's lean, it's mean, it's exactly how you want it. You know exactly what's in it. The disadvantage is newbies really should look elsewhere. It's a detailed process, and at times, just having to deal with all the different steps, it's over the top for newbies. Moderate to expert Linux users will find Arch to be a breath of fresh air. But newbies, well, not so much. More like they need oxygen. Manjaro wants to fill that gap. Manjaro is based on Arch, gives you all the best aptitudes of Arch, such as, Pac-Man, Pack Manager, and whatnot. But focuses squarely on a more broad range of users by offering a complete out-of-box experience, including Flash, non-free drivers, all that stuff, as they call it, ready to roll when Manjaro is installed. So in this video, I want to show you how easy it is to install Manjaro. Another thing which is a major difference from the Ubuntu releases is that Manjaro, being based on Arch, and Netrunner, which is also based on Arch, by the way, are rolling releases, meaning you install once, and as updates come, they're applied to the system, and that's how you keep your operating system up to date. There's no reason or need, theoretically, to ever have to install the OS again, as it's constantly updating, or you're always updating it to the latest version. This is very attractive to me, and that's what drove me in the direction of Arch, and I gotta say it's a wonderful experience. So here's what we see after we have started the live DVD for Manjaro. And what I'm going to do now, on the right side of the welcome screen, you'll see you have Install Manjaro and Install Manjaro CLI. CLI, for those that don't know, means Command Line Interface. I'm going to use the graphical installer, because that's, I think, would be the more of a comfort zone, in particular for a Linux newbie. So I will start the installation. Very simple. Select my language. Select my territory. English Canada. A lot of others would probably choose English US. I'm in Canada. Again, this blurb that exists in many different Linux distros about available disk space that's needed. Make sure you're connected to your power source and you have an internet connection. Oh, by the way, I should add that we are going to be installing the Manjaro GNOME desktop, one with the GNOME desktop, as opposed to, as you can see, this is GNOME, as opposed to the KDE or other desktops. Where am I located? I'm located in America. They used to list Montreal. It's not there anymore. So I will pick the next closest city, I suppose, which probably would be Toronto. Network time protocol, interesting. It's on by default. Canada, English for my keyboard. But my keyboard is actually US English. You don't have to go through all of this. If you chose USA, it would already said USA, USA. Most people use the common QWERTY USA keyboard. Here we have the other blurb that we saw in other Linux distributions. Erase disk and let Manjaro take care of everything. This is where, if you're installing for the first time, you probably want to just leave the defaults. You can also encrypt the disk, use LVM, or set your home folder in a different partition or volume. This is interesting. If you have multiple hard drives, my Linux, how it's set up is I have a boot drive, which is an SSD, 120 gig SSD, and I have a 1 terabyte drive, which I sometimes put my home partition on, or for other data. And this allows you to set that up right away. So that's a massive plus, for me at least, and for others who have more than one disk in their system. Here we have Manager Partitions. This is where you're going to run the partition manager and set it up yourself. But for the sake of this video, which is concentrating on the simplicity of installation, we're going to just leave the defaults and move forward. Warning, blah blah blah, your hard drive is about to be erased and taken over by aliens. In this case, an alien called Manjaro Linux. Install now. Again, another warning, do you want to proceed? Yes. This is what I like about the Manjaro Linux setup. In other Linux distributions, this whole selecting the initial user for the system doesn't happen until later, after you reboot. Manjaro, you're asked to do this even prior to the installation. I actually like that. Pick a username, Linux user, password, something really simple. It's going to complain because the password's too simple. Move forward. And now we're installing. I will pause the video and come back when things are done. Should be a few minutes. Okay, that took exactly 4 minutes. Let's call it 3.5 minutes, not a full 4 minutes. And now we're being told, do you want to restart your system now? And we will. And I will pause and come back when the system reboots to show you a fully working installed Manjaro Linux. And there she goes. Manjaro Linux has been completely installed, up and running, and is good to go. Thanks a lot for watching the video. The simplicity of this is incredible, and we will definitely talk again.